The Bold and the Beautiful recap is officially here for Thursday, August 21st, 2025. In today's episode, Luna Nozawa is expected to assault Will Spencer. Electra Forrester is eager to get personal. Additionally, Sheila Carter-Sharp becomes suspicious. Electra Forrester ready Luna goes into Will's room while he is unconscious. A series of flashbacks see Will imploring Electra to return, with Luna smiling as she watches. Then Deacon Sharp speaks to Will. At Eric Forrester's mansion, Ivy Forrester and Electra are conversing. The young lady wishes her aunt had come. They describe it as a wild party. Electra claims that Will intended to throw a very late private party. Ivy understands what she means. Will was extremely drunk, so Electra decided not to go for it. She says, "Not tonight for both of us," and explains. They enjoy ice cream while Electra gushes about Will. She feels safe and comfortable with him. She also wants their first time together to be memorable. Ivy brings up Remy Price. Electra claims she must go forward or she will never recover from that. Ivy can tell she's been thinking about it for a while. However, Electra does not feel anxious. She feels complete serenity and desires it as much as Will does. Electra is wondering about tomorrow night. Will Spencer was assaulted. When he wakes up, he sees a hazy young woman wearing a mask. He guesses it is Electra. Luna says nothing and moves closer to him. Luna starts kissing him and he removes his shirt. Luna gets on top of Will as he goes in and out of consciousness. Luna takes off her clothes, and Will murmurs Electra's name. Will tries to remove the mask, but Luna pushes it back on. Read this. Find out what happened on the most recent episode of B&B Sheila Carter-Sharp. Suspicious Deacon and Sheila jest and chat downstairs while cleaning up the party. Deacon discusses Electra and Will. Sheila raises questions and wishes she hadn't let Will drive home. Deacon claims he's upstairs sleeping it off. They ask the bartender how much Will drank. He didn't know, but the guy was thirsty. Sheila is dubious of Will's level of intoxication. Deacon suggests he might be a lightweight. Sheila believes it would have been preferable to get Will back to his own bed. Deacon texted Katie to tell her where Will was. Read this. The Bold and the Beautiful spoilers. Bill determines to make Grace Paley Finnegan calls Sheila. The waitress believes that Luna couldn't have simply vanished. Sheila claims she simply needed to stretch her legs after being caged up. Lee mentions it's been hours. Sheila advises her to remain calm. Lee can't keep calm. If anyone sees Luna, she may as well be dead. Meanwhile, Electra tries to text Will, unknowing that he is being assaulted by Luna. The mask eventually comes off, but Luna bends her head so that he cannot see her face. The day began with a seemingly normal tension in the Forrester mansion, but the air was thick with unsaid threats and nervous anticipation. Will Spencer, who is typically calm and charming, felt a peculiar weight pressing against his chest. From the moment he awoke, he felt a nagging dread that refused to go away. He strolled through the mansion's hallways, his footfall softly echoing across the polished marble flooring, each step accented by an increasing sense of dread. The house, which was typically pulsating with a sense of trendy vibrancy and creative energy, appeared to have been engulfed by a silence with an unsettling undertone. Meanwhile, Electra was preparing for a meeting she had long anticipated, one that would require courage, clarity, and perhaps a bit of deliberate disobedience. Her thoughts raced as she considered every possible scenario, weighing her words, gestures, and reactions, with each decision potentially critical. Her reflection in the mirror presented a firm expression. Her dark eyes burned with purpose as she smoothed the folds of her attire. She understood that looks were important, and that confidence might serve as a shield in times of vulnerability. She developed tiny gestures that would portray poise while concealing the torrent of emotions behind, a mask perfected by necessity and honed over time. Will's thoughts were consumed by what had transpired earlier, events that had made him apprehensive of every shadow, whisper, and unexpected creak in the door. The event had left him shocked, not only physically but emotionally, with a searing sensation of violation imprinted on his memory. He remembered the intensity in the assailant's eyes, the suddenness of the attack, and the helplessness he felt during those brief, horrifying moments. Though he had escaped, the anxiety stayed, a constant echo in his head that he could not ignore. The truth of vulnerability had hit him hard, and for the first time in a long time, Will knew how fragile his carefully crafted life was. The mansion, the family, the success, all of it now appeared fragile, as if a single misstep could destabilize the stability he had always relied on. Electra's preparation was extensive. She reviewed the room layout, planned potential escape routes, and practiced deflecting any aggressive moves. Her heart pounded in her chest, a constant throbbing that reminded her of the importance of the situation ahead. The stakes were higher than ever, and failure was not an option. She was aware that the next conversation may change everything, tipping the balance of power, trust, and suspicion within the Forrester family. Her intuition told her that Will's recent ordeal was related to something deeper, something hiding just under the surface of ordinary appearances. Electra's thoughts traced patterns, recalling talks, subtle glances, and unexplained hesitations that now held new meaning. She steeled herself, relying on an inner reserve of fortitude, knowing that the outcome depended on both mental sharpness and physical preparation. Sheila, meanwhile, lurked in the shadows of her own curiosity and distrust. Every movement, whispered exchange, and minor interaction around her appeared to carry secret meaning. Sheila had always had an acute sense of subtext, the things left unsaid, the hazardous truths hidden in careless remarks or fleeting expressions. Her mind was a maze of conjectures and inferences, with each notion more disturbing than the last. She studied Will and Electra, noting their body language, the tightness in their postures, the glitter of resolve in Electra's eyes, and the subtle wariness on Will's face. Sheila's suspicion was a double-edged sword, heightening her intuition while also increasing her worry. She continuously questioned her own senses, cautious of being misled yet unable to ignore the warning signs of impending conflict. The confrontation began with little, seemingly innocuous gestures, a shared glance and a brief discussion, all packed with unsaid tension. Will's eyes met Electra's across the room, and a silent understanding formed between them. She had planned for this time, but the intensity of the current situation accentuated every heartbeat, thought, and uncertainty. Electra approached in slow strides, each movement planned but apparently casual. Her gaze remained fixed, a subtle challenge that revealed both her preparedness and her awareness of Will's fragility. Will, still reeling from his recent ordeal, tried to keep his cool, his instincts screaming caution, but his devotion and humanity pushed him to believe Electra. Sheila's presence adds another level of intricacy to the situation. She stayed on the outside, showing disinterest as her thoughts catalogued every detail. The slightest flinch, breath, or muscle twitch became food for her critical eye. Sheila's thoughts raced with possibilities, picturing reasons, ramifications, and covert partnerships. She couldn't escape the impression that something monumental was happening in front of her eyes, that this meeting was more than just a clash of personalities. It was a collision of intentions and weaknesses, with consequences that could be felt well beyond the room they were in. Electra spoke first, her voice calm but with an apparent edge. The statements were carefully chosen with the intention of asserting power, while also uncovering concealed threats. Will listened closely, his own speech cautious, conscious that any error could dangerously aggravate tensions. Each exchange created a delicate balance of power, a psychological chess match in which every detail counted. The room appeared to be charged with electricity, with each second stretching taut with expectancy. Fear, distrust, resolve, empathy, and disobedience combined to create a palpable force that made the air feel heavy. Will's mind kept returning to the assault he had just undergone. He thought on his reactions, his feelings of powerlessness, and his rising desire to reclaim control of his life and environment. Will strained to walk the narrow line between prudence and paranoia, conscious that overreaction may alienate allies and underestimating could invite additional danger. Electra's presence was both reassuring and challenging. She represented the strength he wished he could constantly summon, but her readiness reminded him of his own flaws. Their shared understanding was unspoken but strong, a silent link formed in preparation of confrontation and mutual worry. Sheila's doubts grew as she witnessed the exchange. She questioned the sincerity of every gesture, the hidden meanings underlying every phrase, and the consequences of the unspoken. Sheila had long recognized that in families like the Forresters, appearances were rigorously cultivated, and the truth was frequently concealed beneath layers of deception. Her instincts, honed over years of managing complicated interpersonal interactions, informed her that the clash was simply a symptom of deeper undercurrents. Sheila's mind cataloged various alliances, dangers, and vulnerabilities, calculating probable movements and countermoves even as she appeared to be idle. The tension rose to a climax as Elektra discreetly altered her position, signifying readiness without exposing the depth of her inner resolve. Will recognized the shift right away. An unconscious warning that the time had come for pretend to give way to actual intention. He matched her position in subtle ways, changing his posture to communicate attentiveness, readiness, and caution. Sheila, as sensitive as ever, observed the changes with rising concern, her mind rushing to comprehend the silent discourse occurring in front of her. Each heartbeat seemed amplified, each glance weighted with meaning, and each breath a reminder of the delicate balance they were all managing. The room felt smaller, the air denser, as if the walls themselves carried the collective suspense. Elektra spoke again, her tone a mix of toughness and strategy, as she tested limits, gauged responses, and maintained psychological control. Will replied with a measured openness, revealing enough vulnerability to develop confidence, while concealing elements that may be exploited. Sheila's concerns were both reinforced and complicated, as she saw the complex interaction of strategy, emotion, and intuition. The dynamic was fluid, ever-changing, a ballet of anticipation and subtle power shifts that required complete attention and awareness from all parties involved. Elektra's preparation was more than just physical or strategic. It included emotional fortitude as well. She had spent endless hours mentally rehearsing potential scenarios, anticipating reactions, and devising backup plans. Her mind was keen, analytical, and resilient, capable of quickly adapting to changing situations. Will, impressed by her elegance but acutely aware of his own limitations, found strength in her composure. Their shared understanding became a tacit source of reassurance, a mutual recognition that they were facing problems that required unity and clarity of purpose. Sheila's part in the unfolding story was intricate. She was an observer, evaluator, and potential disruptor, with her suspicions serving as both a motivator and a limitation. She realized that divulging too much too soon may permanently alter the dynamics, yet suppressing information also posed hazards. Sheila skillfully managed her own emotions, balancing curiosity, concern, and self-interest. Her analytical mind studied every gesture, tone, and facial expression, generating countless possibilities and weighing their chances. The idea that every miscalculation may have enormous immediate and long-term ramifications added to the anxiety. The conversation continued with subtle manipulations, verbal probing, and meticulous information exchange. Elektra kept control with an elegant balance of firmness and flexibility, directing the conversation while keeping open to cues from Will, and even the attentive Sheila. Will, still processing the tragedy he had experienced, acted with prudence, earnestness, and strategic restraint. Sheila's examination was unwavering, her thoughts continually examining the unfolding interactions, looking for contradictions, hidden agendas, and potential vulnerabilities. As the encounter developed, the interaction of emotions and intents became more apparent. Fear, determination, distrust, and empathy came together in a tense but captivating tableau. Will's cautious attentiveness mirrored Elektra's readiness, and Sheila's suspicions added to the mystery, raising the stakes. Each participant was fully aware of the power of perception, the significance of subtle signals, and the possibility of misinterpretation. The room appeared fraught with expectation, with each movement, glance, and inflection taking on greater significance. The solution was neither immediate nor straightforward. Elektra's composed demeanor, Will's meticulous vigilance, and Sheila's probing examination produced a precarious balance, a transitory equilibrium in which danger, trust, and suspicion coexisted uncomfortably. The interaction highlighted the fragility of security, the complexities of human dynamics, and the significance of strategy, intuition, and emotional intelligence in navigating crises. Each participant left the engagement with new ideas, challenged limits, and acknowledged weaknesses in ways that would echo through subsequent interactions. By the end of the encounter, the tension had subsided but not completely. Will, while shocked, had reinforced his resilience and ability to engage strategically in the face of challenges. Elektra had showed readiness, courage, and psychological acuity, reinforcing her status as a capable and resolute character. Sheila's suspicions remained active, a lingering undercurrent that demanded continued watch and anticipation. The events of the day revealed hidden strengths, vulnerabilities, and ambitions, making everyone involved acutely aware of the stakes and the ever-present possibility of future encounters. In the peaceful aftermath, the mansion appeared to breathe again, while echoes of anxiety lingered like a faraway drumbeat. Will, Elektra, and Sheila all processed the events differently, Will with cautious reflection, Elektra with a measured sense of accomplishment, and Sheila with increased distrust and interest. The exchanges had altered dynamics, clarified alliances, and increased understanding of weaknesses and strengths. The room, which had previously been packed with anxiety, now contained the leftover energy of confrontation, anticipation, and cautious relief, a reminder that in the Forrester's world, the balance between trust and suspicion, safety and threat, is always fragile and changing. The day's events left a lasting imprint, both visible and subtle. Will's heightened sense of risk tempered his behaviors, changing how he explored the mansion and interacted with others. Elektra's readiness bolstered her feeling of agency and strategic skill, instilling a quiet confidence that would guide future judgments. Sheila's ongoing suspicion meant that she would continue to investigate, evaluate, and predict any disturbances, her vigilance a constant presence in the unfolding story. Their intertwined experiences highlighted the complex interplay of power, emotion, and perception that defines life in the Forrester's high-stakes, dramatic world, where every decision has consequences, every interaction is important, and every shadow can conceal both danger and revelation.